show because we dive into all topics that would relate when one goes on their own self-love exodus, their own journey of that. So what to do when judgment comes up? This is something that we've been discussing since I got here, basically. And it can show up in all sorts of ways. Judgment, we're talking about anything, whether it's you're watching yourself judge yourself, or watching yourself or being aware that you're judging others. And we just did a meditation that we do every Saturday at 10. We go live here at 11 a.m. We do our meditation sessions at 10. And what came for me when it comes to being loving, right? Because are you judging someone or are you being loving towards someone? And what came up for me was love is the absence of judgment and control and manipulation. So I kind of just wanted to bring that up. So some thoughts, some things can come up in that. But yeah, what to do when judgment comes up, whether it's towards yourself or other people. And I love this topic because it's going to bring about awareness and we can function as our higher selves, which I believe is acting from a true place of love. Love and understanding. It comes with being understanding versus being very surface, like really learn this, like calling someone to be this or that, or even yourself without any depth with it, you know? So Hallie. So with the topic, what to do when judgment comes up, how are you seeing yourself connect with this topic? Yeah.
Well, I liked when you said that watching yourself judge yourself, watching yourself judge others. Kind of the third category that I think of is watching yourself being afraid of being judged by others, right? These kind of like three realms where judgment can play a major role in our life, because the mind is judging constantly. It's always judging. So what to do when judgment comes up? Basically plug into any moment of your life and check in with whether or not you're having a judgment about something. You know, you probably are. It's okay. It's totally natural, right? But it is creating an obstruction, right? It's creating an obstruction to connection, either with yourself or with others. It is creating an obstruction to the healing process being able to happen within yourself or with others. And so it's up to you. It's like, if you want to have more connection in your life, if you want to continue healing, or even just like activate and start your healing journey, then you have to be mindful of your judging mind. So it's a mindfulness practice.
Totally.
And it's an embodiment practice, because you experience judgment through your body, because there's a contraction and a constriction, right? And so that was one of the things that was guiding us in the meditation today, is to like kind of taking inventory of like what your mind has been doing with judgment, but also dropping into the body and feeling where in your body you notice where the judgment happens, right? And people were talking about like tenseness and tightness in their jaw and their chest and their shoulders. So part of becoming aware and watching yourself judge is like feeling where you're tight in your body, going into those places, like, all right, like what am I holding here? What belief am I holding here? What right and wrong am I holding here? Where's my righteousness? Where do I feel like I'm correct? Where's my personality wrapped up in some idea of like a stance, right? A strong opinion and me against them. And then you get information, and it's hard, right? Because the thing about unjudging, when you do the unjudging work, is you're doing ego dissolution. And that's hard, right?
Yeah.
The ego, it's just like, it's such a grippy thing.
Yeah.
And the ego loves being right, like at all costs. And so to unjudge means to just kind of like breathe some space into it. And as we were practicing in the meditation today, it's like space equals love. Like once you have space, then you have room for love. And the judgment creates the blocks, right? The barriers and the walls. It takes up all the space.
Yes.
You know when you're really on one and your mind is just like, judgment, 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 judgment.
Yeah, and how does that feel to judge, whether it's yourself or for someone else? Like, pay attention to how you're feeling when you're judging. And I love how you're like, bring up these self-inquiry questions, these self-inquiry check-in questions, because where is it coming from, right? Like, why am I judging this person? How does that relate to how I judge myself in this space?
Mm-hmm.
That is another area that I know that I've dove into. And it's hard to, like, again, it's going to go against the ego, because the ego wants to be right. It's going to go against that. So to see how you judge other people, and then seeing how that's a reflection of perhaps that's where you judge yourself. Oh, and then there's the opportunity to continue going to the next level of your growth and your healing. I know that when we were going to meditation, I thought about my family. I was like, just checking myself. Okay, I do have that like energy of where I am judging, for an example, my mom or like some family members that they are unhealthy, stuff like that, right? And I'll watch myself trying to control. I'll watch myself try to manipulate some things, and knowing that, right, my higher self is saying, girl, if they were truly open and they really wanted it for themselves, it will be very obvious. They will ask about it, they will go and handle it, and they will go do it themselves, right? The best thing that I can do is check in and ask if they need anything.
Mm-hmm.
We can't force people to do something for themselves if they are not in that space yet. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, when we're judging, do we feel like it's loving? Do we feel like it's controlling? Do we feel like it's manipulative? You know, like they all go together, right? Because when you're judging somebody, what are your actions following that? I know there's a lot of things in the air right now. I don't want to say anything triggering, but just forcing someone or like even guilt shaming someone for doing something because you want to control their choices because you believe you're right. Is that functioning out of love?
Yeah.
Is that functioning out of judgment? So I feel like this conversation is going into like what it looks like to judge, what it looks like to be loving.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were talking earlier just now, I'm not going to give like in a certain detail because I don't want to like, it's a really hot topic, but you know, I was like, are people asking you for more information to understand where you're at?
Mm-hmm.
Like, when was the last time someone took time out of their day or created some space for you and was interested knowing below the surface information that they just currently see from the outside?
Without
like
an agenda, right? Like, because even there are times when it can seem like someone's trying to like have like hear your perspective, but they're so rooted in their own agenda and in their own righteousness that it's not a safe space to be like, here's where I'm at on this.
Correct.
This is where my heart is. This is where my truth is, right? And so it really takes like an energy, because judgment is an energy. You don't even have to be articulating the judgment to be expressing the judgment.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be holding it in your mind, and then it's just like transmitted. And so in that transmission, you're creating unsafety for people and for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like if you're wanting connection, if you're wanting love, if you're wanting togetherness, if you're wanting family, if you're, you know, it's just like you really got to check that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, don't judge yourself for being judgmental.
Yes, I had to watch myself.
Right? Because it's just, that's the thing about the judgmental mind, is that it can just be so relentless.
Yes.
And so you have to stop the process. You have to stop the process. And if where you're at in the process, sometimes where I'm at in the process is like, I can't quite not judge them yet, but I'm going to stop it right here. I'm not going to judge myself for judging them because I have to stop the process somewhere. And then it's like, all right, I've gotten into compassion for myself as to why I feel judgment there. So now let me work with this layer.
Totally.
So at some point, you know.
I thought about this experience, and I admit that I was in the wrong, because I was continuing the judgment game. I'm going to judge you for being judgmental.
Yeah, exactly.
And now they're going to judge me for judging them for being judgmental.
Exactly.
And I got called out on it, and I'm very grateful. Someone challenged me and said, but Quinn, like, by you doing that, then aren't you judging them for being judgmental? And I was like, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And I corrected my actions immediately, right? And there was an apologizing conversation. There was a conversation, and I felt, and that part is so hard because you want to be right. Yeah. And why is it that we want to be right so bad? So you see how these questions, why is it that I feel that I need to be right? Oh, is it because I haven't been heard? Is it because I'm so used to being ignored? Is it because I'm so used to people not wanting to dive deeper? Is it because I'm so used to being judged that I feel like I need to be right? So like there's a whole thing there too, So if anything, you can be heard by you, right? So that you don't have to feel like you have to force other people. You don't have to like, what's it called? Shove things down other people's throat just so that you're heard. But it's in a very unloving way. So we're acting from what I figured out for myself is when I want to judge, I'm acting from a place of hurt. Yeah. Acting from a place of pain, fear. And it's not doing good for anyone because I'm spreading out that energy now. I'm being an example of like, hey, this is how we should just deal with it. No, I'm going to act from a place of love because I have been processing it and realizing that, when I act in that way, it means I want to be right. And if I want to be right, that means I haven't been hearing myself. I haven't been validating myself. I haven't been there for myself, listen to myself. Because if we're not getting it from people, we need it so bad that we will manipulate. We will try to control. We will be loud about it. We will be angry about it. Very forceful. And we don't see, of course we don't realize it when we're doing it. We can now, right now that we're talking about, we can now be more conscious and get into some more practices like meditation to get us there. Write about it. That could even be a journal prompt every day. Where have I felt judgment today? Yeah. And check it to see when with yourself and see when with others. That is you can spend the whole year, you can master judgment, like growing through, healing through judgment today.
That would be a really, that just would be an awesome daily, you would. Yeah.
This should be one of our workshops. You can always bring up the next workshop.
This could be our next workshop.
Yeah. Yeah. And anything else you wanted to add? I was going to mention our next workshop. That's this month.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about how I was sharing with you earlier about how I've kind of had a resurgence of my trauma has come up this week. Where I really gotten to experience it, remember it, feel it, and also kind of feel how traumatized I still am. And there's a part of me that really wants to judge myself for having trauma. Because it's inconvenient. When you see the way that your trauma affects your life and your relationships, you're just like, man, that really is so annoying. And I've been doing all this healing work for all these years and I still have this trauma. So working consciously with but that's the thing. It's like the trauma can't come up and feel safe enough to be felt again and released more if you're judging yourself for having those feelings. So you have to create a safe container for your trauma work, Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, girl. I feel like that's next level for you. And especially when we're having that realization, oh wow, my trauma. And you kind of ask, why do I have to have this? Is so hard. Why? No. Yeah, it's next level where we see ourselves judging. Right? We might not judge ourselves here, but then when it comes to this, judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just judging the experience, right? Of just oh man, I have to deal with this. This is so, but it's no, this is so rich actually and beautiful. And this is This is such an opportunity. And whenever something is up for us, it means that it's up for healing.
Yes.
It means that more space is being created. And so like really honoring the pain when it comes back, because we are ready to do some more work with it.
Mm-hmm.
And the only work that is functional with our trauma is love.
Mm.
That's how we deal with it. That's how we heal it. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Right. So for anyone who's watching, who's on the healing journey, know that yes, it can be overwhelming knowing what you will have to face, because you can feel it. It's like that, like you see in the corner of your eye, you're like, oh, that just looks too daunting, too big. How the hell am I supposed to deal with that? And so what we're saying from our journey is you will, by the time when you're like, that's really coming up for you, you would have already had the tools.
You'll be, yeah, exactly. You'll be equipped. We only get what we're able to be with.
Yes.
And
right?
When something comes up, it's actually like, okay, you're ready for this now.
Yeah, because you're actually talking about it. Like you wouldn't be talking about it and wouldn't be like swimming around in your brain if it wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is awesome.
Yes.
It's like really awesome. It's like, oh, we can deal with this layer now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly what I say to myself too. It's like, oh, okay. Awareness is such a wild thing because, yeah, we just don't see it yet until we're aware of it. Like it's almost like here's a positive spin. It's like a gift. When you are able to become aware of something, it's a gift because it just revealed itself to you. Like, oh, I get to work with this now, right? Someone from Facebook, oh man, I could have used this talk yesterday. I argued around in circles about like nothing. And when I hear that, I can just feel that the person that you were getting to this argument with, both sides were trying to be right. Nobody was listening. That's why they call it an argument, when no one is listening about nothing. It was all about being heard. Met a very judgmental person who told me all my character flaws and I was defending myself, but I didn't need to. That's awareness right there. When you see yourself needing to explain yourself, perhaps, how would I say it? They don't have the space to hear you out because they would have went there to understand you and hear you out, right? That's my take on it. I get so annoyed with myself when I have panic attacks. Any advice? Because I'm not in my right mind during the panic spiral. An opportunity, yes. What comes up with me with panic attacks, in my own personal experience, is when I have continuously shoved things down and not deal with it. I remember in my past relationship, my first long-term relationship, I didn't know it at that time, but I was having an anxiety panic attack. I was sitting at his friend's place, a kick-it or something, and I just felt like I couldn't breathe, and I felt so uncomfortable, and I was like, something is wrong. Something's wrong with me. That's all I said. It like, something's wrong with me, and I just sat there, and I just, so like, and then there was another one where it was just full-on panic attack to another level where my whole body was tingly. I mean, I was freaking out. I feel like I was about to pass out, black out. That only happened twice. But I know it's from ignoring, from processing my pains. Ignore, numb, avoid, continuing to attach to other things to continue to validate my worth. That's from my own personal experience. So the only advice I can give you is to start your healing journey. Start using a healthy outlet every single day as if your life depended on it. Because if you're having a panic attack, your body is saying something. So please start listening. Start incorporating some sort of practice where it allows you to listen to yourself and release what needs to be released in that time. That's what I would have told myself in the past. So that's my advice because of my own personal experience. That's what I've told my teenager self that was having all these panic attacks.
I like that you brought up the body, right? Because we experience that panic in our body, right? You're having these symptoms and you're like, something isn't right. And so the more that you have a practice where you are tuning in to your body, tuning into your experience, the earlier you can catch these things so that you can like start making, I started a journal yesterday.
Oh, yeah. I think I know who this is.
Yeah.
for Haps, on Haps, for some reason, I can't see, but I have a feeling I know who it is. Anyways.
Yeah. But yeah, like journaling is great, but also just like sitting with yourself and like hands on the body and breathing and just like closing your eyes and tuning in. And you don't even have to call it a meditation, right? Because that, some people that just feels like too much, right? But just like, okay, like how am I feeling? Like what needs attention? What needs attention?
Yeah.
So that you start getting acclimated to the subtle signs of like, you know, something's needing some support here.
Yes. Yeah. I knew it was you, Anastasia. Yeah. I was like, yeah, great. So you can see how you can incorporate that into a whole practice. There you go. Feeling into yourself. And then, yeah, you start journaling, congrats, and then write about it to release what's going on. Express, communicate, feel and communicate. Feel and communicate. So yes, that's our suggestions, advice to you. Whew, yeah. It's some good work. It is some good work. And you will feel so proud of yourself for doing this, because whoever's listening, I'm sure this is new. For some of you that are listening, journaling and like feeling yourself, like having a moment to yourself, that's new. And let that be exciting for you, because you're about to see things unravel and also change for you, adjust for you. Because especially if you're experiencing a spiral, like a continuance, know that when you experience something new is going to happen.
Yeah.
It needs to be consistent though, okay? Can't be like, okay, once a month. I'll do a check-in once a month. There's so much to us. We have so much going on, so many things that we have accumulated. Why not attend to it every day? Or as much as you can, Yeah, so that's our talk for today. Did you want to add anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Well, we have a workshop coming up, speaking of tuning into the body and how to like listen to it, like really use some healthy processing with listening to the body. We have a workshop called Body Compass. Okay. It is on our website, selfloveexodus.com. You will see our workshop. It's on the 22nd. And we have our meditation sessions, donation-based, every Saturday at 10 a.m. And we're on here live on Facebook, on Instagram, and on HAFS every Saturday at 11. Okay? So tune in. Let us know where we can support you, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.
See you next week. Thanks for tuning in, Anastasia. See you later.